Americans believe they need $1,260,000 to retire comfortably. The average American has $995 saved for retirement. Not $995,000, $995. That is less than most people spend on groceries in a month. Now, here is the question nobody is asking loudly enough. How did the wealthiest country in the history of the world, a country sitting on $13 trillion in retirement accounts, produce a retirement system so broken that the average working American cannot afford to stop working? The answer is not laziness. It is not irresponsibility. It is 50 years of the most sophisticated financial engineering ever applied to ordinary people's lives. Today, we pull back the curtain, and what is behind it will fundamentally change how you think about your future.
Welcome back to Dark Real History. Today's story starts in 1875 with a system designed to protect workers forever, and ends in 2025 with a record number of Americans raiding their retirement accounts just to pay their rent. Let's get into it. To understand how broken the system is today, you have to understand what it replaced. For most of the 20th century, America ran on what was called a defined benefit pension. Here is how it worked. You worked for a company for 30 years. When you retired, the company paid you a guaranteed monthly income for the rest of your life. It did not matter what the stock market did. It did not matter what interest rates were. It did not matter if there was a recession. You showed up, you worked, you retired, and you received a check every month until you died. By the 1970s, over half of all private sector workers in America had a pension. 40 million Americans were covered. The system was not perfect, but it was predictable. It was secure, and it put the risk of retirement where it belonged, on the employer, not on you. Then came 1978, and everything changed.
In 1978, Congress passed the Revenue Act. Buried deep inside that bill was a small section, Section 401, subsection K. It was written primarily for corporate executives to allow them to defer a portion of their salary into investment accounts, tax-free. A modest tax benefit for high earners. That was all it was supposed to be. Nobody planned what happened next. A benefits consultant named Ted Benna read that section in 1980 and realized it could be used to create a completely new kind of retirement account, one where employees, not companies, contributed their own money and invested it themselves in the stock market. He called it the 401k. In 1982, 12 million Americans had a 401k account. By 2000, that number had grown to 42 million. By 2025, Americans held $13 trillion in defined contribution accounts, mainly 401ks. Sounds like a success story. But here's the dark part. As 401k accounts grew, pensions disappeared. Companies did not offer both. They used the 401k as a reason to cancel their pension obligations. Why guarantee a retirement payment for life when you can just match a few % of an employee's salary and hand all the risk to the worker? In 1983, 62% of private sector workers had a pension. By 2022, that number had collapsed to just 4%. 4%. An entire generation of American workers had their guaranteed retirement income replaced with a stock market account that could lose half its value overnight. And most of them never even noticed it happening.
Now, here is the part of this story that should make you furious. Because even the 401k you have right now, the account sitting there with your name on it, is being quietly drained every single year by fees. hidden fees that most Americans have no idea they are paying. Here is how it works. Your 401k is managed by a financial institution. That institution charges what are called management fees, expense ratios, administrative fees, sometimes advisor fees. These fees are not taken out as a visible charge. They are deducted as a percentage of your balance, automatically, silently, every single year. The average 401k plan charges between 1 and 1.5% in total annual fees. That sounds tiny. Here's what it actually costs you. If you have $100,000 in your 401k and it earns 7% per year with zero fees, after 30 years, you have $761,000. With a 1.5% annual fee, after 30 years, you have just $532,000. You just lost $229,000 to fees. $229,000 that was supposed to be your retirement went instead to the financial institution managing your account. And here's what makes this truly dark. Senator Peter Fitzgerald said it in 2003, and nothing has changed since. Quote, "The mutual fund industry is now the world's largest skimming operation. A $7 trillion trough from which fund managers, brokers, and other insiders are steadily draining the retirement savings of American workers." That was said over 20 years ago. The trough is now $13 trillion, and the skimming continues.
Now, let me show you how badly the system is failing right now. In 2025, a record 6% of Americans enrolled in 401k plans managed by Vanguard made what are called hardship withdrawals from their accounts. 6% may not sound dramatic, but this is a record, up from 4.8% the year before. A hardship withdrawal is not a loan. It is not a temporary dip. It is a permanent removal of retirement savings because someone had no other option. Medical bills, threat of eviction, foreclosure. The median hardship withdrawal in 2025, $1,900, not $19,000, $1,900. People are destroying their retirement future over less than $2,000 because they have no other safety net. And it gets worse. Almost 20% of full-time workers took loans from their 401k last year, the highest share ever recorded. And full-time workers cut their contribution rate in 2025 from 9.2% to 8.9%, the first decline in years. Working people across America are pulling back from retirement savings, not because they do not care about their future, but because the present is too expensive to survive. One person on Reddit's/politics forum said it simply, quote, "Awfully bold of this article to assume I even have a 401k still." Another wrote, "I lost mine during COVID. Now it's barely paycheck to paycheck." These are not isolated voices. These are the quiet majority. Here is the most disturbing part of this entire story. While millions of Americans are raiding their retirement accounts to survive, a completely different group of Americans is thriving. At the end of 2025, the number of 401k millionaires at Fidelity grew to 665,000. 665,000 Americans have over $1 million in their 401k, at the exact same time that millions of others cannot afford to contribute at all. Economists call this a K-shaped economy. Picture the letter K. The top arm goes up, the bottom arm goes down. Two completely different trajectories, two completely different Americas living inside the same retirement system. And the divide is not just financial, it is generational.
Millennials account for just 4% of all 401k millionaire balances. 4%. The people who built those million-dollar accounts, they have been saving for 25 years or longer. They started in a different economy, with lower housing costs, with cheaper healthcare, with wages that kept pace with inflation. The young workers of today are being asked to replicate those results while paying 40% more for housing, while carrying a combined $1.9 trillion in student loan debt, while watching grocery bills consume an ever larger share of their income. The system was not designed for the economy that exists today, but nobody in power has the incentive to change it, because the current system is extraordinarily profitable for the people running it. Let us follow the money. Americans hold $13 trillion in 401ks and defined contribution accounts. That money does not sit in a vault. It is actively managed by financial institutions who charge fees every single year. At an average fee of 1%, the financial industry collects $130 billion per year from American retirement savings alone. $130 billion every year. Whether markets go up, whether markets go down, whether your balance grows or shrinks, the fees come out. And here is the political dimension of this story. One tax expert described the 401k industry this way: the 401k industry owns Congress. They have spent decades and billions of dollars building one of the most powerful lobbying machines in Washington. Every time Congress considers reforms that would force lower fees, or greater transparency, or stronger protections for workers, the industry fights back and wins. In 2025, private funds now hold $16.7 trillion in net assets, up 8.5% from the year before. The people managing your money are getting richer faster than you are.
So, what do you do with all of this? Here is real, actionable help. Step 1. Find your fees right now. Log into your 401k account. Look for a document called the Fee Disclosure Notice. Every plan is legally required to provide one. Find the expense ratio of every fund you are invested in. If any fund has an expense ratio above 0.5%, look for a lower cost alternative inside your plan. Index funds typically charge between 0.03 and 0.2%. That difference over 30 years is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Step 2. Maximize your employer match first. If your employer matches your contributions, that is an instant 100% return on your money. No investment on earth guarantees that. Contribute at least enough to get the full match. Every dollar your employer matches that you leave on the table is money you earned that you are giving back. Step 3. Understand the difference between a traditional and Roth 401k. Traditional 401k, you pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Roth 401k, you pay taxes now, but withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. If you believe taxes will be higher in the future, and most economists think they will be, the Roth option can save you significantly. Step 4. Never make a hardship withdrawal unless it is a true emergency. A hardship withdrawal does not just remove money from your account, it permanently removes the compound growth that money would have generated. $10,000 withdrawn at 40 could have been $80,000 at 65. That is the true cost of a hardship withdrawal. Step 5. If you have no 401k access, open an IRA. Individual retirement accounts allow anyone to save up to $7,000 per year tax-advantaged, regardless of whether your employer offers a plan. Roth IRAs are particularly powerful for lower-income earners. Here is the truth about the American retirement system. It was not designed in a boardroom by people who wanted to hurt workers. It happened through a combination of corporate self-interest, political inaction, and 50 years of quiet decisions, each small enough to go unnoticed, each one tilting the system slightly further away from workers and slightly further toward the institutions managing their money. The result is a retirement system where 8 out of 10 working-age Americans believe the nation faces a retirement savings crisis. 64% of Americans are more worried about running out of money in retirement than about dying. That fear is not irrational. It is the correct response to a broken system. But knowledge is leverage. Understanding the fees, understanding the history, understanding exactly who benefits when you do not, is the first step to protecting what you have built. Share this video with someone approaching retirement. Hit like if this changed how you think about your 401k. Subscribe to Dark Real History, because next week we go deeper. Drop a comment. How much do you have saved for retirement right now? I will see you in the next one.